Good evening, all. Welcome back, everyone, to this wonderful evening. On this auspicious event, I would like to welcome you all to the second day of 3-day international workshop on writing research proposal, grant proposal, and funding agencies, jointly organized by Lavender Literary Club India, Capcom Marine Trust India, and Malaysian Industry Relations and Human Resource Association Malaysia. Today we have two speakers. First speaker, Dr. Sugandhi Appalasamy, University Malaysia Kelantan, and Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Kolipo, Professor and Head of Research and Development, Stanley College of Engineering and Technology for Human Hyderabad, Telangana. I would like to invite Jessica Nang and Jeffrey to introduce the resource persons. Over to you, Jessica.
Thank you, admin. Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
All right. Okay, good evening to everyone. Today, I would like to introduce our special guest to share some highlight in our program. Sorry. Let me tell you his name and his story. Dr. Ramakrishna Kolikipogu is a professor of head R&D from Stanley College of Engineering and Technology for Women. He has received Bachelor Technology, Master Technology, and PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad. He has 16 years of experience in professional teaching, research, and mentoring. He has rich experience in guiding and mentoring startups. Under his able leadership, the Department of R&D is progressing and finding solutions of societal impact and industrial relevance. The Department of R&D promotes the research and innovation culture to support Make India mission. He is an active member of various professional bodies like IEEE,
So, Jessica,
ACNC, yes.
the first person is not there, so could you please introduce the second one, Dr. Sugandhi Appalasamy?
Oh, Dr. Suganti.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
okay, it's not a
Okay.
problem.
Okay. I'm sorry for the okay. Let us speed up to the next session and meet our wonderful woman, Tan Sri Dr. Suganti Apalasamy. I will tell you her story. Okay. Affiliates of Academy Science Malaysia, 2 times National Science Fellowship received from Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, MOSTI, gold and awards winning in various innovation competition at national and international level. Published more than 50 research articles, proceeding active article, and present more than 10 papers in international seminars. Science Committee of Eco Explorer Malaysia, an NGO focusing on national education. Frequent participant in forestry expeditions for wild ginger inventory list. Avid hiker and science fiction reader. Okay. Without wasting any time, please ready for her highlight in this session. Dr. Suganti, I hope you enjoy your session and happy to share. Hand to you, doctor.
Hello, thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. Hi, everybody. A very good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Am I clear and loud?
Yes, doctor.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope everyone can view my slide. Right. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah. So I'm here today to share a little bit on the tips to produce a good scientific report. So I'm sure most of us today we are well aware of what a scientific report, what should be in a scientific report, but how to produce a good scientific report. That one actually It's not a very difficult thing, but yet we still need some tips to improve and then to produce a good one. So here I am today, right? So my content today will include types and uses of a report, component of a scientific report, source of research, formatting, what are the referencing styles, and then how we write the figures and tables, and finally I'll take some questions from the audience. Yeah. All right. So now we have more than four, if I'm not mistaken, but these are the four main types of research report, yeah, reports that are available. First one will be the research report. Then we have the technical report. We also have proposal reports, and finally we have business reports. So those who are involved in the postgraduate studies and all that will be looking at this two very frequently. That will be the research report and also proposal report. So today I'll be focusing on the research one. So what is the definition for a scientific report? So a scientific report is actually a document that describes the process, progress, or results of technical or scientific research, or the state of a technical or scientific problem. So it actually involves very detailed, right? Detailed writing that involves a lot of research, prior research, all right? A lot of literature reviews and all that. And it will also include recommendation and conclusion of the research. And sometimes from this report, we can actually find out the gaps for the future researchers, all right? So that's why scientific report is actually a very significant ones, yeah, a very important report, right? So, because most of the time we can find these reports placed in libraries, right? In our university libraries, they are that important, right? So a component, all right, a component of a scientific report will involve, of course, introduction. Then we'll have methodology, then results, discussion, conclusion, references. Sometimes you'll also have appendices, all right? So the appendix will normally we include figures, tables that does not belong in the result section. So the one that not involved in the result section, we put them separately. We call them appendixes. So sometimes we use them, sometimes the readers may want to know more, may want to implore more on the raw data and all that. So we put them as appendix, right? Okay, so first of all, first thing first, right? Title of the report. How should we give a title? Now, I've come across students, yeah, they actually don't know how to title their research. Often they come to me and ask, Doctor, what should be in a title? Can I just, put a question mark like title? How to do research? Can that be a title? Um, I wouldn't say no, but then it actually doesn't answer any kind of question, because a title, it should be about 4 to 12 words in length. It should be short, specific, descriptive of what you are doing, contain the keyword of the report, if right? Because the goal of the title is actually to describe the content of the paper. When we read the title, we already somehow have some idea of what's going on, what we are going to read. All right. So of course we have to avoid waste words like studies on. Of course it is a study, so we don't have to, put it onwards, right? Studies on, investigations on. No, we have to avoid all that, right? Use specific terms rather than general ones, right? So watch your word order and also syntax, and then if possible avoid abbreviation and jargons, because um, we cannot be under assumption that our research will be only read by our own field people. No, it's not always that case. Yeah, sometimes people, a general public will also be reading our work. So we actually want our work to reach the public media, right? So we want them to understand as well. So if possible, avoid abbreviation and jargons, all right, that is so complicated. right? For example, right? These are some of the papers, right? And then I find it very interesting. An in-depth analysis of a piece of shit, right? Distribution of Schistoma mansomi and hookworm eggs in human stew. So it started off as a very funny title, but then it actually lead on to something very, very, very academia. This distribution of this microbe in humans too. So it already has that main three, objective: why, how, and the subject matter. So these are the three things, yeah, that must be, found, must be found in your title. So the second one is actually from my own paper, evaluation of the chemical defense fluid of microthermos, that's a termite, and then as possible household repellent and insecticide. So it has the how, it has the subject matter, and it has why. All right. So all these three must be found, must be found in your title. So be very, how to say, specific, and I try to make it like 4 to 16 or 4 to 14 words. Not too long, not too long, not too short, right? Okay, then we go on to the introduction part. So usually what we put in our introduction, it's the name of the section is introduction. So you must introduce the subject matter, right? Uh, there are students who are, who come and then will ask me, doctor, can I just, introduce superficially, because I want to add in that facts in my discussion section later on. So it will be like repetitive. Yes, but then introduction means that this is the section where you will be, using your might, all right, your everything to cover the reader's attention. If let's say the reader's attention is not caught, then they won't read further, isn't it? They will just close the chapter and then put your work aside. So we don't want that to happen, isn't it? So if possible, this is a section that you have to take care, you have to put in effort and provide a very good summary of the analysis to be taken, what has been done, right? Where the research is, is still lacking. It doesn't matter if you are from science field or your or arts field or social science. It doesn't matter. All right. The introduction section is the most important one. This is where you have to state the research problem, establish your hypothesis, provide justification why this research is important. Right? Sometimes I know I have read introduction where the student have done a very good, all right, very good, in review, all right, review of what has been done and all that. But there's like say there's a lacking of a statement, why this current research is important, or why, all right, the why is missing there, right? So the justification must be provided so that the reader know, oh, okay, so all this has been done previously, but still there's a gap here which is not answered previously, and that's why this research wants to find the answer. So this one must be included in the introduction section, right? And then we state the method, right? If let's say it's a new method, then you have to state justification, right? Why? So that why is actually very important, yeah, in research writing. And then after that, some, right, a very how to say, short, right, paragraph on the research results and also conclusion. So this one all must be in introduction, background of the analysis to be carried out, a brief review of the previous research. A very elaborate ones will be in the literature review part. So but then you still have to include a brief review in your introduction part, right? And then why the research was undertaken, a statement of hypothesis, right? If this is done, this one will get this one. If this is not done, and then what will get instead, right? So all this must be included as well. All right. Then an explanation on the different technique and why they are used, right? And then a statement of the objective, what you hope to achieve. This is the main one. Sometimes people think that 5 to 6 objective is very important. Not necessarily. 4 objective, 5 objective is also sufficient. 3 sometimes is also sufficient, depending on the research you are undertaking, right? So the number of objective does not correlate with the depth of your study. Does not, yeah. So this one you have to bear in mind. Sometimes people think that the more objective I have, the more better it is. No, not necessarily, right? Right. So the introduction is actually the what and why of the experiment, and you should answer following this question. Yeah, what was the purpose or objective of the experiment or research, right? Why has been this research has been conducted in a particular manner, right? If let's say it is a descriptive analysis, then why it is so. If let's say we use this particular statistical analysis, why, right? Why is it important in a broader text? Is it only in Malaysia or is it only in India? It is no viable. So all this you have to answer, right? You have to state clearly in introduction. Okay, if possible, include only briefly, as I said previously, include only briefly, right? The result or this conclusion. Okay, so pro tips here is that introduction, if possible, write it in present tense, right? Because you are describing a current problem and current conclusion. Okay, so this is some of the example. Yeah, okay, I'm actually quoting science based, right, papers and also articles, because I'm from science background, so bear with me, right? Okay, so now I find it very interesting because so it's written in a very simple language. Yeah. Okay, so the title is very straightforward: effects of preparation and storage of agar media on the sensitivity of bacterial forward scattering pattern. So for general audience, it's actually an article that talks about how to prepare and store agar media, and then what is the effect on the bacteria. Right, so easy, isn't it? All right, so the introduction itself, it's already talking about why we need to prepare and store agar media at a particular temperature, in a particular condition, right? Why? All right, it's already stating. And then what are the policies that must be followed, so that it actually conforms to the good microbiological practices and all that, right? So this is what we expect in a introduction, right? Okay. Then we have the next section. Yeah, so the next section will be the material matter, or some people prefer it to be methodology, right? So it doesn't matter, again, doesn't matter if you are science background or arts background, right, or social science, right? Methodology is the most important section of all, right? So this is where we spend 90% of our time, right, doing the research, and 100% of our energy writing it as it is, right? The more detailed, right, the more detail we put in this section, the more better it gets, right? Because why? Because this is a section that will actually attract the readers, right, especially from your field, right, to follow and then to replicate it again. All right, if they follow exactly the same, replicate as it is, and they fail to get any result, then the blame will come back to you, right? That's why we have to put in as much detail as possible in this section. All right, so this section is called the experimental section, right? It's actually the description of the material, the procedure used. It doesn't matter if, let's say, you did a survey, you have to include the survey form. All right, what kind of questions, how many people you test them with, all right, what is your pilot test, all right, what is the number for your pilot test, all right, the exact real number for your survey, what is the number.
Dr. Su, sorry to interrupt. Your mic is muted, Doctor.
Yeah. No, okay.
All right. Thank you very much. So I'm okay. So I think I have to repeat everything again, right? Uh,
Not everything, Doctor. Just like 1 minute earlier.
oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. I think something happened in the middle, right? Um, could you just tell me where I went mute?
Material and method.
All right. Okay.
Doctor.
Okay. Right. All right. So I think this is just example, yeah, an example of a very good article, right? Okay. Um, as I was telling previously. All right. So the methodology section will be the most important one, yeah. Okay. This is where you spend about 90% of your effort, right? Doing this, carrying out the experiment, doesn't matter whether you are in science or arts background, right? And 100% of your effort must be focused in writing in detail for this section, right? So this is actually a very important section. Yeah, you cannot actually write it in a very general way, thinking that this is a very a very common method. Everyone should know. I don't need to explain in detail. No, please do not think like that. Okay, put in more effort. Write it as all right as elaborately as possible, right? Okay, so the preparation of the sample specification, right? If let's say you are doing a survey, right? Or what is the sample size of your survey? What is the sample size for your a pilot test? Okay, if let's say you have done it in a particular state, all right, in particular country, right? You have to tell the justification and also the number of your sample size. This is very important. So do not keep using the word then, or keep using jargons or abbreviation. Put it in a very simple manner, but in a scientific, all right, and systematic order, so that people can actually read, understand, and they can replicate the same method to obtain the same results. Right. So this is actually very important. So the method must be written in past tense and also passive voice. Okay. All right. So the methodology in short, it must have the details of the experimental design. All right. If let's say you are using analysis or a specific software to analyze your results, you must include the version, all right, the URL, where you get the software from. All right. All this must be included. Details of the control and also their purpose, positive control, negative control, everything must be included. Do not put this in your mind. This is easy, everyone should know it. No, please don't do that. All right, so this is your work. All right, this is your work. Just put it in your mind, no one knows except you, so you have to write it as elaborately as possible. Details of the sampling protocols, all right, the exact quantity of the reagent, precise detail of the subject samples included in the study. All this must be included. Okay, right. So this is another example, yeah, right? Another example how a very good methodology is written. So as you can see, it is written in the past tense, all right, and included all the significant parameters. All right, they even actually put in what kind of microscope, with the brand of the microscope. All right, so this is actually to highlight that the methodology section is that important. All right, so you have to be very, very, very detailed. Okay, so now we go on to the result section. All right, the purpose of this section is actually to present your data in a manner that is easy to read and interpret. Let's say I take up let's say all right, a paper or a article with arts background, and I'm from a science background, so that I might be thinking, oh my god, I'm not going to understand even a word. All right, that will be in my mind before I read an article. If let's say the article is well written, all right, well written, and of course, no matter what field are you from, you will be able to understand it, right? So this is the challenge, right? So always put this in your mind, right? You have to write it in a way that it must be understandable, right? It must be easy to interpret by all readers, right? So for that, your result section must be kept brief, right? And repetition of the method must be avoided. This is very, very important. Okay. All right. Then after that, your table, your graph, your figures, all must be numbered and labeled. Do not omit any kind of data. All right. Any kind of analyzed data. Don't put in raw data. That is definitely a big no-no. All right. Don't put it, raw data thinking that, the readers might be able to analyze them themselves. No, all right, do not give chance to examiners to use this as a bullet. All right, do not do that. All right, just analyze them. Doesn't matter if you are using Excel, right? Analyze them and put the analyzed data in your result section and label them accordingly. Right. Right. Do not present, pre-digested or or data that is not from your study. This is another one more important thing. Oh, doctor, I got this data from another study. So I think this is very, similar to what I have done. So I'm going to put it in my thesis or in my report. No, please do not do that. That is considered as plagiarism. All right. Okay. So please be honest. Use your own data. If you don't have the data, then you have to do something. All right. Okay. So this is a place where you actually present your work. If let's say you have been doing your postgrad for 2 years, this is the place that you actually have to translate your effort into writing. All right. People might be thinking what you have done for 2 years. So when they look at your data, they must be, thinking that, wow, for 2 years, she have been doing all this very good. All right. So clarity is essential and honesty is the best policy. All right. Okay. So when you are doing your research, 90% is actually hard work and 10% only data, right? But then when you write your research, 90% is actually writing about the result and 10% is how you write it, how you did it. All right. Okay. So you have to bear that in your mind. Yeah. Right. Okay. So in your result, you must include pictures, right? The spectra, the tables, graphs, and all that. Very, very practical. Please do not, put in all the tables, all the graphs. I think everything is important. No, right? Please choose, pick and choose which one is important. Not important ones, you can put it in your appendix. Doesn't matter, right? Okay, brief statements of the result in the text and without repeating the data in the graph and table. If let's say you already summarize them in a table or in a graph, so make sure the table or the graph is self-explanatory, right? So you don't have to repeat whatever that is being, tabulated in the paragraph. You don't have to do that, right? Just summarize and then briefly describe them. That is sufficient. Okay, right. And then if possible, you have to, give or put out the the abbreviations. If let's say some abbreviation is used in the table or the graph, you have to state them underneath. So you can actually put it as a footnote. Okay. All right. So if let's say you are using pictures or some kind of tables or any kind of paintings or illustrations or anything that does not belong to you, you have to put citation to it, right? So please just do not use any kind of pictures or anything that does not belong to you and without citation. So that is actually considered plagiarism. If possible, draw or reproduce it, right? Okay, right. So then we come to the next section, that would be the discussion. So this is where we always get stuck. What should be included in discussion and what should not be included. Okay, so discussion is actually to discuss the relationship between the results and also how they relate to your initial objective and hypothesis. So when you reach discussion, this is where you have to tell whether you actually accept your hypothesis or you reject the hypothesis, right? So you can also include the shortcomings and implication of your work. So this is where actually you formulate the theory, right? If let's say you are doing a postdoctoral thesis, then this is where you actually can actually produce a theory. All right. So in the end of the day, from the research, 5 years of research, I've come to this. All right. So this is the new theory. All right, that arrived from my study. So you can actually tell that lah. Okay. You should provide major conclusion supported with evidence. All right. Must have evidence. Okay. The evidence is actually reflected in your results section. Okay, and then suggest future application of your research finding. Okay, so this must be included in your discussion. So how your result is similar to other studies, previous studies done, right? So if there is, a small difference between your study and also the previous study, you must elaborate that. All right, how different are they? Why they are different? Any kind of factors that actually contributed to this difference or not. So you have to write it down. Okay, you can write it in a present tense, right? Most of the time. Okay, so if let's say you want to talk about the future studies and all that, then you can use future tense and all that. Okay, and then you have to include the main discussion on the results. Okay, you don't have to repeat your results, but you have to tell. Okay, if let's say this is the results, what is the implication? Right? So what can be done next? So this is very important. What can be done next? Okay, right. So this must be in discussion. So usually the discussion section is the most important one, not only in our thesis, in our scientific report, but also in published articles. This is where we actually read first. All right, the discussion, right? Oh, okay. So if let's say this thing happened, so we can actually take it as this is, right? So I have actually included few major, articles, and they have cited so many other papers. They actually compare their results, between their study and also the previous study. So this is how we write it. Okay, the comparison, right? Previous study have done this, and then they got this kind of result, but we have gotten this. Why? Right? So elaborate on the why. Okay, right. Then after that, we come to the most happy ones, right? Happy section, that will be the conclusion. Right. So this section is the section to sum up your argument, right? Sum up your experiment and should relate back to the introduction. Do not repeat the results, right? Do not put in any citation. No, this is not the place, right? The conclusion section should only consist few sentences. Should reiterate the finding, the main finding, yeah? Let's say you have 10 finding, do not put in all the 10. You should have one big major ones. So put in the major ones and then elaborate a little bit, and that's it. All right. And you should always include how to improve the procedure. All right. Can it be done in another country, or we should actually include another one more sample size? So all this must be included in this section, right? Okay, so this is some conclusion. As you can see, only contain about 2 sentences. All right, the best is 10 sentences. Right, that's it. And all right, this is sufficient. Right, so do not think that conclusion must have at least half a paragraph or half a page. All right, at least 300 words. No, not necessarily. All right, not necessarily. Okay, so when you have done all that, you are left with your references. Okay, so is there any kind of magic number? I should have at least 300 references. I should have 400 citations. Is that necessary? No, not really. All right, there is no magic number for references, right? You can include as much as you want, but if you ask me, include the latest ones if possible, right? Because this is actually to acknowledge the sources in order to avoid plagiarism, and also to strengthen your argument, yeah, to strengthen your argument from the existing literature and also the updated literature. Okay, so if possible, do not go beyond 15 years. All right. Okay, so every piece of information, including the illustration, figures, and all that, must be cited. All right, must be referenced. All right, preferably from peer-reviewed sources. All right, not from any kind of article. Just look at the journal. Is it from a predatory journal, or is it from a very good peer-reviewed source? Right, this is also very important, right? So make sure you include your reference as you write, right? Do not write the whole thesis, then only you scramble to find and put in the citations. No, do not do that, right? You will be miserable after that. Okay, so just include your references as you write. If possible, use the reference tool. Okay, referencing tools. Yeah, there are so many referencing tools like Mendeley, EndNote, or Microsoft also have its own referencing tool. Yeah, so if let's say you feel all of them like very heavy, they are very heavy software, you can always use the Microsoft ones, right? They're easy to use, but then do not trust them 100%. You have to cross check manually also, right? So you can always check back with your department and advise, for the appropriate referencing system. Usually, each department have their own system, right? The best ones will be, uh, asking your seniors, yeah. All right. Then we have what kind of formatting is the best format, right? There's no such thing as the best format. It all depends on the department. You can always ask your department what is the referencing format they prefer. So if in Malaysia, we always prefer the APA style, right? So if you just go to Google and put in APA style, you'll have this. So it actually tells in detail for every single source how to do the citation and also reference. So this is very important. Do not take for granted the references, right? So if not, then you'll be called plagiarism. Yeah, your work will be called plagiarism. So if you want to avoid that, put more effort in this, right? Okay, so I think that will be all from me, right? Thank you very much. If there is any question, you can ask.
Hello, Dr. Sugandi.
Hi, Prof.
How are you? Are you
I'm
okay?
yeah, I'm okay, Prof.
You are in Delhi or in Kota Baru?
Jadi, Prof.
Okay, okay. Right. Okay, it's very impressive talk by Doctor. I always follow you in the social media, in our WhatsApp group, all the way, since I was lecturer.
Oh, thank you, Prof.
And you are lecturer there. I really appreciate your contribution to the nation and also to the international community, and of course,
Thank you, thank you.
and I think you'll be very soon be associate professor. That's my prayer lah. Hopefully lah. Okay.
Thank
My
you.
my question is because this theme of this workshop is basically to attract grant, because grant become one of the, I know there's this section not very popular because people think that grant not important. Actually, grant is a very important, because a grant you can do research. Because research, you got a finding, and then from finding, you're publishing in ISI corpus. So the grant is very important at this moment. So, I mean, my same question again, lah, since I asking yesterday, some are got answer, some not answer. Because many of us, I think, is struggling. Because here got people from social science and sciences background. So, Doctor, from your experience, I think you and Dr. Jaya, Dr. Boone, I know all the names, Mazlan, you all are very active scientists, to attracting the grant. Then I know that. So, Doctor, I mean, research proposal, writing proposal for academic purpose, and writing proposal for the grant purpose. So, what is the fundamental issue that when the funder read your proposal, they will say, yes, I give this grant. Can you take one example that you've gone through the process and how you get it, that grant, how you manage to get, even though 20,000 or 50,000 doesn't matter, how? Can you share some insight on this so that everybody can learn? Thank you, Dr.
Can, Prof. Very good question, actually. Actually, when I joined, as a academic, I also was clueless, totally clueless. All right. So, is there any difference between proposal for, research and also proposal for finding grants? Right. Okay. So, when we want to do any kind of research, first of all, we have to know, the gap. All right, the gap in the research. That first. But then for funders, they don't actually care about that. All right. They want to know the end product, what they can do with the end product, right? How it can impact, right? If not the nation, themselves. Okay, the themselves meaning that because the grant is actually from industry, so how it can actually come back to them. That's why usually when we view the proposal, for grants, they have this quadruple helix. The quadruple helix means that how it affects the university, and then the society, and then industry, and the nation in at large. So this one they want to know. All right, the society. All right, is there if let's say, okay, I give an example. All right, my friend and I, we were very interested in this household repellents. All right, using biological way. All right, we don't want to use the chemicals and all that to repel these insects. We want to use something that is very nature friendly, user friendly. At the same time, it is very effective. All right, so but when then we actually tried few places to get the grant, but no one understands us because we write it in a way that we want to do research on the insect itself. So they were like, why you want to do research on insect? What does it, how it benefit us as industry? It has no benefit. But then when we write with the proper keyword, repellent, all right, cost effective, user friendly, green chemistry, all this is actually the keywords they are looking for, and they were very interested. All right, quickly they were very quick to reply. All right, and then offer us the grant. So you have to understand what the industry wants. You cannot simply write it in a way that, oh, I am a botanist, I will only do about plants, I don't care about other people. No, you cannot do that. All right, there must be something both ways benefit. All right, so the same thing goes to the other study, that I was doing on gingers. All right, as you all know, gingers, all right, not only the ginger that we consume every day, there are also 200 300 over species, wild gingers, right, that not yet studied and all that. But when we offer this kind of proposal, the industry were not very, not very, how to say, attracted. But then when we put in immune boosters, all right, so we can actually turn them into supplements and all that. Wow, they were very interested. So you see, you have to modify your grant proposals as it is. All right, how we can use them. All right, is there any benefit to the human or to the nature or anything? And then, all right, you have to present the methodology in a way that it actually can be executed. It must not be like, something that must be done for 10 years, then only we'll get the result. No. All right, it can be done in 2 years and you can get the result in 2 years. So you have to be smart in a way, right? And this is the tips lah that I want to tell our students, right? Is that all right, Prof?
Okay, okay, thank you. I think everybody must follow your tips, lah. I think myself, I also rejected, sometimes I also get rejection, even though I'm a professor, I also get rejected. But sometimes the reader, evaluator don't understand, the impact. So they simply reject because they are reading from their perspective. So that's another reason, Doctor, we didn't get it because you go to the wrong reviewer. So
Yeah.
and then they don't look at the big picture now. So that's why some of the good research it didn't reach the society, which I think eventually affected later in their life. Like my area, like I'm looking at recently I applied for this, gig economy. All the food panda, these people actually
Yes.
unprotected by the law, doctor. Anything accident happen, nobody will protect them. But you look like they are working with the industry. Actually, no, it only application. They wear the clothes, but actually I'm applying that very important grant because I link to the Kemakmuran Bersama, sustainable development and ILO vision and all this. So, but it was rejected internally. Then they didn't see that big picture. So what I do now is I'm applying to direct to the HRD Corp ministry, So that's my experience lah. I haven't do that, but that is actually will failure. A lot of research, good research, it didn't reach to the people lah. So that's but I always tell our people here, one you fail, you go another one. Keep on going another one. You don't this one already rejected. No, you got another one. Sometimes international grant more easier than local grant. That's my experience lah. Very easy. Doctor, one time, just share 1 minute here. ILO grant me 40,000. I sent all the receipt, They say, why you send all the receipt? They say, I say, this is what we do. No, we don't need that. Just one sentence only. Are you complete? Because we trust you. That's why we get this grant. And then I said, my God, I think I'm wasting my time, like say, if FRGS, you provide receipt, everything. No need. They say, we trust you. That's why we're giving the grant. So we transfer money to you. Why you worry? So you see how they are actually doing business compared to winning. So I'm really much happy to work with international. So I think that's also another advice lah. Probably what doctor said is, one, you don't A, go to B. No B, go to C, like that. That's all. Thank you, doctor. We pass to who's the name? MC? Jessica. Jessica, you may ask any question or not in the room.
For me, I don't have any question, but I will let everyone who have a question to ask Dr. Suganti.
There's only two things. They understand clearly, no question, or they may ask you privately. You better give your email to the chat box. This is Asian culture, We are very much, it's okay, I think.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Prof, for your encouragement.
Yes. Actually, doctor, this one before you go in, this Lavender, we also got Mirha, Malaysian IR and HRM, and then Camp Community. We are doing a lot forum and international conference, and so Dr. Frank is here. He's the president, so it's good for you to come over in this group and actively participate because they also will be a lot of speakers from other countries joining, from America, from Indonesia, and so on. So we are putting even Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on. So I hope that we can disseminate to our academics in UMK. They are very lazy, They don't want to come join. I mean, this is a problem on our academics, They should learn from people like you and so on. Okay, doctor, that's all my comment. Yeah.